button. Okay. So the reason that we come together for the Purpose Workshop is because we all come in to this charitable gifting of real estate thing that's so simple, yet can be so confusing. Like, what do I do with this? How do I talk to people? Cami, what do I say to this person? How do I write that email, etc.? So instead of it being like a class about here's expireds, here's what you say to an expired, right?
Right.
This is more about, let's get the concept of why you even want to talk to people, because it depends, what we say to people depends on who they are, why we're talking to them, what's important to them, and why you even want to talk to them. So we'll start with you, Andy. Others might pop on as we move along, but let's just pretend it's just me and you. We're just having a one-on-one conversation. What is your purpose? Why do you even care? What are you wanting to do with this?
Well, there are a number of reasons. Some are selfish, and the rest. I would say that the majority is. I still can't believe that I can actually help people. And that's what I really always wanted to do in my life. I just ended up in sales, and I never really felt like I was helping people, although that's your motivation when you're helping someone sell their home, and supposed to be your motivation. I'm chasing a paycheck, but if I can combine, something that I've always wanted to do, I have a passion for helping people, but now I can combine it with an income. That's, nothing better, really.
When I saw this thing 2.5 years ago, I saw the same thing, Andy. I've always wanted to help people, even more just from a calling, like it's just the right thing to do. Right. And, ultimately being a part of the Real Agents of Change, you don't have to have like a monetary reward, but let's face it, we're all business people. We all, unless you're just flat out independently wealthy and can volunteer for free for the rest of your life, then let's talk about how we can make money. Because if I don't know what you want to do with this, then I can't help guys. It's kind of like being the GPS. If I'm the GPS, if I don't know where we're going, I'm of no use. And frankly, even if somebody says, I just want to do good for people, I just want to help people, I just want to be a blessing to the world, awesome. The best way to be a blessing is to have a direction, so that we're not just a pretty sailboat just sitting here. We need to get somewhere. So let's talk about how can I help you get where you want to go. So for example, I assume you're a listing agent more than a buyer agent. Is there a certain kind of client that you would like to pack your day planner with? Is there a certain nonprofit that really speaks to you, that you want to be their go-to guy standing up in the pulpit on Sunday? Like, what is it for you?
Yeah, well, yes, I do consider myself a listing agent. And, right now I'm using different niches and, gimmicks and programs to get in front of people, just because of, it's so competitive out there. I don't want to say obviously, but there is a shift coming, which coincides with, this need out there for, being able to help these 501Cs. And combining that with being able to get in front of these, higher level, higher tier, just wealthier people with bigger assets to sell. That's really, I forget the question.
So who do you want to do business with? Who do you want to actually put a sign in their yard or do business with?
High income people.
Now, when you say high income, what market are you in?
Well, I'm in South Jersey and Philadelphia. So we don't have, our average is maybe 250, maybe it's gone up to 275, in the area. And there are a lot of nicer homes just outside of my territory, maybe just out of reach, and what's in the neighborhood or in the area is, fewer and further between than other parts of Jersey and PA and in the country, frankly. So if I can expand that and get in front of those folks, that would be the target. Less work, more, same outcome, less work, so I can put more time into my family, myself, and the things that I love and the world.
So listings that are 750 and up, they usually say that luxury is like 3 times the average price
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. 750, 800, something like that. I mean, they're in the area. Just gotta get in there.
Now, how have you been trying to get in front of them in the past?
Well, I, make a lot of phone calls, and, I'm competing with more experienced agents, better known entities in those area. With longer and deeper proven track records for success than I have in the industry. I'm in 3 years. And, I don't really have a niche or a specialty right now. I'm taking everything. Right. So, I would like to get in with those fine folks.
So I love that. So I'm taking notes, by the way, guys, when I'm
Sure.
looking down. I'm not watching porn or something. I'm actually taking notes.
Sure.
So what I love about this, Andy, is all those seasoned agents that you would normally think, wow, they've got that neighborhood, or they've got that yacht club, or they've got that country club sewn up. Here's what we know. They have no idea about this. They have no idea. So when you can come in, even as the new guy on the block, 3 years of experience, you bring a tool that these folks just flat out don't have. When you say that you normally make a lot of phone calls, who are you calling?
For sale by owners, expired listings, referrals, different lead sources coming in, people that don't know me from anyone else. They don't know how talented I am or what skill sets I bring to the table or whether I care or not. They just see that I'm another, realtor knocking on their door, one of 100 people, as soon as something happens.
So what excites me about the fact that you are willing to cold call, I feel like what we do is not a cold call, because anyone that we're going to talk to about this, whether we know them or we don't know them, this is such a warm, valuable conversation to break the ice with anyone. And I am doing my damnedest to get all of us access to Wealth Engine without us all spending $10,000 to get a license for it. But ultimately, when we are getting these lists of names and numbers of high net worth people, it's good to know that you guys are willing to pick up the phone and talk to people that you don't know.
Sure.
So when we talk about charitable gifting of real estate, our first P, what is your purpose? So when you're wanting to get higher end listings, you want to talk to the high net worth people. When we think about where you can be, let's just call it 6 months. Let's do a short span of time. What would you like to have seen happen in our group? 6 months from now, we're all sitting together on a beach in Florida, having the Rock Revolution reunion. What's happened in your business? What would make you feel like you have had a success here with us?
Well, I think the obvious answer is a listing or a successful real estate transaction. But really, what that would mean is the successful, or I should say, just the recognition by the community or by a certain organization or by some of these individuals, about whom we're speaking, recognizing that I am the go-to guy or that I can even offer this, or that nobody else does, but that I'm the guy.
So whether you're here live or whether you're watching this afterwards, as we're going along and I'm asking these questions, be pondering for yourself, have a pen and paper out, and be thinking about this for yourself, because all these little things that I'm asking, you might be thinking, well, let's just get on with it. How do I write an email about charitable real estate? But I love hearing you say, Andy, that you want recognition and you want to be the go-to guy, because not everybody does. Some people want to do good, but they're afraid of being seen. They'd rather be behind the scenes supporting. That's why we talk about how, my character is more Lady Legacy with a flowing cape, the big mouth out talking about it. And Danielle is Donation Diva in the background, being more of the Clark Kent, supporting the Superman character. So if you're wanting to be the go-to guy and get that recognition, that tells me that we need to really give you ways to show the fuck up. Like
Yep.
own your space with what we're
Right.
doing here.
100%.
Do Facebook lives, do video, start going and speaking and talking to people about that which we're doing here. So you want to be recognized as the go-to guy in this marketplace. Now, talk to me a little bit about who do you want to support? Who is there a specific genre of nonprofit that turns you on?
Well, there are actually two, and I'm taking notes too as we speak. But one is there's my mother passed in 2003 from ovarian cancer, and my family started a charity for her. It's for what's it called college tuition. What are they called? So yeah, you see, they want to give
scholarship fund.
Scholarship.
Wow, thank you.
Thanks
for whoever just helped us out there. Who's that? Bryson. Hey, thanks, Bryson. So there's a scholarship in my mother's name. Well, that's embarrassing. Cut that out. But I would love to support that, and it helps actually the high schools. High school I went to, and a little bit expanded from there. But boy, that's exciting. If I could give back to my mother's name, to the community in which I grew up, that would be incredible. And the other one is the Valerie Fund, which provides cancer treatments to kids all the way up to early 20s for free or as best they can. They help a lot of people, and that's something my family's really heavily involved with. And there's a branch nearby, and we've been involved with them for a number of years.
The Valerie Fund, and what is the name of your mother's scholarship fund?
The Julie Weintraub Scholarship Fund.
Julie, can you spell that last name, please?
Yep, Weintraub.
Yeah, your last name. Got it.
Yep.
Okay, one more question. What did you see in the marketing, in an invite, in a link? How did you make it to the Real Agents of Change? And what made you come to the masterclass, and what made you put your credit card down? Why?
Well, I saw your video on the in EXP World, right, on one of the posts, and it spoke to me. I mean, I couldn't not learn more about it. It ties everything together that as a human being I'm about, as a business person I'm about. I mean, again, I don't know how many times we're going to say it on this call, probably a lot, but being able to help people while carving out a niche for myself and my business, and it's a triple threat. It's a really incredible opportunity, and that's really the why. I mean, no brainer, especially with what's happening in real estate today, because the gimmies are going away and people have to shift, and this is a great way to shift. It's almost recession proof, I think.
Fabulous. So if I were to go to your social media, your website, however you show up, your positioning, how long have you been with us at The Rock? Weeks?
Yeah, just a few weeks, a month maybe. I started learning about it a month ago, paid about 2 weeks ago, and okay. I'm halfway through the training. The champion. Yeah.
Got it. So if I were to go look up your name, would I find anything about charitable gifting of real estate yet?
No, not yet. Mm-mm.
Okay. I just ask because, what a beautiful way for you to actually just introduce yourself to the world with the stories that you just shared. Friends, we want to make this personal. We don't want to get weird and icky. This is not sales. We're not trying to convince people. I really haven't quite put my finger on it yet, what it is that holds the tribe back from just wanting to talk to anyone and everyone about this. Because when I learned about it 2.5 years ago, I started talking about it, and I started bringing people to a three-way call with Bruce, and just really started plotting and scheming how to get this out to the world. So for you, Andy, how do you feel about doing a video, a Facebook Live or a pre-recorded video, just talking about your mom, the scholarship fund that your family has put together, the Valerie Fund, and just how you want to be a contribution to the world. And based on that, you stumbled upon this secret real estate niche that you now see can bring together your personal, your business. You can help make a difference. You can grow your business, and you can support other businesses and nonprofits around you to help them make money making a difference.
Sure. I mean, obviously sharing the message will help bring the, the donors or those who need our services. Sharing it with other agents, of course, is great to grow the business. Selfishly, of course, I don't want everyone to know the niche in case there are people better suited at building bigger, faster, stronger than I am. I guess that's selfish. But as a business person, I'd want to be careful about that. But really, getting the message out is key. And so, no problem getting live, getting on video and talking about it in front of people, live or recorded.
Well, and I appreciate you actually saying that out loud. That there is that, ooh, if I let people know, what if they do more than me? What if they outshine me? What if they start doing more than I do? And guys, I have that consideration too. I'm clear that as we're out doing all these videos and even talking to you, or having people come to the master class for free and all that, I know that I'm helping to create my own competition. Like, I know that there are going to be people who start teaching this. There are going to be people who maybe create their own certification. There will be people who take our information and go do their own thing with it. But I also know that there's so much, there's so much abundance. There are so many thousands of nonprofits in your marketplace that need our help. You couldn't handle them all if you wanted to.
Very true.
There are going to be people who create charitable gifting of real estate classes, but they will never have my strategy. They will never have my personality, my perspective, my story. It's the same thing for all of you. So let's think about how you, Andy, can have a plan of action to get this out to people, and to think about who you want to share that video with, who you want to invite to the Charitable Gifting of Real Estate 101 overview, if in fact you do, if you want to schedule your own. Because if you want to be recognized as the go-to guy, if you're wanting to triple your price point and talk to these high net worth people, then let's get that plan of action moving forward. Have you made a top 10 list of, when we say top 10, we don't expect you to have 10 people in each category or to limit yourself to 10, but the top 10 list, meaning, have you started making a list of the financial advisors the realtors around the country? Because you guys can start with realtors in other parts of the country. You don't have to be inviting people in your own backyard to learn about this if you don't want to. But do you have a list of people you're thinking about talking to?
I do.
How big is that list?
Right now it's probably 6 or 7 people.
Yeah. So what can we do to make it 60 or 70 people? What can we do to make it 100 or 200 people?
Well, without taking the time, nothing will happen. So, number one is putting aside the time to think it through, look through my Rolodex, social media and that sort of thing. That's really what it takes. But, and then if there are other, then I would say that putting it out there and just seeing who responds, and looking online for people who think similarly or who could think similarly. They're in a related vein or showing success working with their favorite nonprofit, things of that nature.
The reason that I asked what brought you to the table, and I would say the same to all of you, what brought you here, when you talk about how this speaks to you, it brought your personal desire to help and your desire to grow your business and all that together. Guys, when you're thinking about who you want to share this with, be thinking about from the perspective of who else would benefit from this? Who else's business would grow from this? Who else has nonprofits they love or are always talking about recycling and saving the environment or always speaking about the Lord and their faith? Or who do you know that has the animals? In other words, instead of thinking, who can I call because it helps me? Who can I call because it helps them? Because every time we do a purpose workshop, it's completely different. We talk about whatever comes up in the moment, and sometimes we focus on, okay, well, if you want to talk to high net worth people, like who do you know that could get you in front of high net worth people? And let's talk to them about charitable gifting of real estate, because ultimately now you're on the phone with them. Now you're in front of them and they would be more likely to introduce you to somebody that's high net worth. But I want to spin it around a little bit different now, just to play with who can you talk to? This is for all of you. Who can you talk to because it would help them? Because I know that all of you on here, Barbara and I have talked a few times, Bryson's been showing up a lot. What I know about everybody that joins the Real Agents of Change is that we all want to make a difference. Barbara's in a little bit of a career crisis, like, who am I? I want to rebrand myself. How do I want to show up? Bryson wants to talk to more investors and, getting in front of people that are more in that world. But ultimately, we're all wanting to be a benefit to others. So
Right.
Put a pin in that. I want to hear from Barbara. Barbara, if you're able to unmute yourself and chat, just want to get everybody kind of involved. And then we're going to talk about some role play and how to start talking to people in a really productive way. Welcome, Barbara. Thank you for being here, even though you're a busy lady on the road.
Hello.
So as we're talking about all of this, I think you might have mentioned on a call last week, but remind me, and I'm gonna ask you this too, Bryson. I want us all to be in the mindset of what got us here to start off with. What was it that you guys saw that brought you here? Because when we start reaching out to people to introduce them to this concept, we don't want to get in that weird ickiness of, how do I convince people? How do I sell them something? Oh my God, what if they ask me something I can't answer? How do I handle objections? Because as real estate people, we've all been taught how to convince, persuade, push, sell, handle objections. And I want us all to just come to the table with, here's what I saw. Here's why I went to that first class. And Mary, this is why I'm inviting you to sit in on this, because it's what I saw and I feel like it would resonate with you. So Barbara, what was it for you that brought you to the Real Agents of Change?
I've been trying to dig deeper in this as well because, we all have, like you said, we want to help others. So for me personally, I think it just starts at a younger age in your life experiences, and then it just progresses through life in itself. So for me, it starts out with, okay, I grew up in a children's home, so I have compassion for younger people. Then from there, I was a single parent with 4 children. So I have the heart to help people in that aspect, but it goes beyond that. Because of that, you always know there's somebody worse off than you. And it gives you this compassion and empathy that, okay, I want to help the groups and people I'm familiar in from my own life experience, but I know there's more. So then I would like to help other groups that I experience in family and friends. So, I mean, it is pretty deep. And I think all of us can relate to the fact we have our own personal story and experience. And then as life continues and as we grow older, we see more and more, which it's more than we can handle. And I see this as a tool to help not just those that I am related to, but beyond that, and other people that I know that experience and their life story. So I like how this transcends beyond just me and my experience and who I want to help, but way beyond that. And that excites me because I know it's like you said, it's not just about me. It's about those that I can relate to help, and then those that are beyond me. I just am excited that this can go. The word legacy. I want to leave a legacy for my kids, but how exciting I can now leave a legacy for nonprofits as well and help contribute towards that. Maybe that's a better word.
Well, thank you for saying that, because we are all right now, as we live and breathe in this moment on this Zoom, we are all the ancestors of the new legacy for nonprofits. It's because of us coming together that these nonprofits can grow. They can double, triple, 6 times the size that they are, but that's never going to happen if we're not out talking to people about it. So I myself just made another investment in my growth and learning. There's a woman on LinkedIn, her name is Shay Rowbottom, and she's about 30-ish. And she, in the last 3 years on LinkedIn, has created a tribe of about 700,000 followers on LinkedIn. And she helps people create videos on LinkedIn specifically, could be any social media, but she helps them do that from the perspective of how can you create content where you're not cramming sales down people's throat or trying to get them to buy, but you're sharing so much value that people are actually reaching out to you and saying, how can I work with you? How can I work with you? So I've been watching her for a couple of years, and there was a post that she did about 3 months ago where she was really vulnerable. And she was just talking about, when I'm paraphrasing, but when I was 6, my father abandoned our family. When I was 8, I was, sexually assaulted. I'm making this up. What I'm saying is she said a lot of things that were very vulnerable and personal. She mentioned that she was a prostitute when she was 20 years old because she just didn't know what to do with her life and she needed to make some money. That part was true. But my point is, she teaches how to leverage your story in a way that has people really relate to you and see you as a real person. So I just invested $5,000 to be a part of her 6-week boot camp. And in this boot camp, just like with us here, there's a bunch of videos to watch of her talking about her story and algorithms on LinkedIn and how to make these videos and stuff. They've got scripts for videos, how to have a hook, how to drop in a really shocking statistic, and how to make some of the videos specifically about your business, some of the videos about just anything that people could relate to make you relatable, and then also make videos that are really super personal so that people can identify with you. So as I'm hearing your story, Barbara, about growing up in a children's home and being a single parent with 4 kids, Andy, listening to your story, your mother died of cancer and you're wanting to have, you guys have already put together this scholarship, et cetera. It just is kind of making me feel like it would be really super beneficial for all of us to share a little bit of our story with people, whether it's in a Facebook post, whether it's in an email post, whether it's in a video, however you feel called to do it. And Bryson, I want to hear a little bit about your story too. Barbara, how do you feel about, as you are bringing people to the table for charitable gifting of real estate, to share something like, let's just say it's an email that you share with your tribe. Hey friends, I don't know if you know or not, but I actually grew up in a children's home. I was a single parent raising 4 kids. Like, I have a really soft spot in my heart for children and families and nonprofits that support them. You could even mention the Boys and Girls Club or whoever you like, and just say, based on all of that and being a professional commercial real estate professional woman, having a little bit of an identity crisis, trying to figure out, what my branding is, I have, just by the luck of the draw, by, infinite divine intervention, have come across a way to really help everyone who's reading this, whether you're a nonprofit, you love nonprofits, whether you're a property owner, an investor. Like, charitable gifting of real estate, my friends, is a way that we can help all of the causes and communities we love while making money in the careers and the companies that we love. And that's why I'm giving you an invitation to come see what I saw a month ago when I sat in on a class and learned how I can finally bring my personal and my business, my heart and my head all together. Now, I just rambled a lot, but how do you feel about being that open with who you are?
Yeah, I think I could do that. And, as you're just talking, geared towards, for example, churches, the children's home, like different organizations. And then I feel like I need a different approach with the commercial side, talking with business owners. Initially there's, going to be, it's less personal. And then once you get to know that individual, sometimes you can get personal, sometimes you can't. So I kind of need two different directions, depending on which group I'm talking to, if that makes sense.
Well, and of course, it depends on if it's warm market versus cold market too.
Right.
So,
Correct. That's
so
it.
They could be commercial. They could be the biggest bankers in the world, but if they're a good friend of yours and you've been to their house for Christmas parties and your kids grew up with their kids, that type of thing is very different than cold market. But just put a pin in that for a second. Bryson, what's your story? What is it about this? I mean, I know that you want to do good and you want to meet investors and stuff, but talk to us a little bit about your story.
Yeah, so so I think last week I summed it up fairly quickly in terms of ultimately this is an opportunity to maximize positive benefits to the world, as well as reconnect to my nonprofit roots and ultimately to build my business. And essentially facilitating a shift to share what I believe in rather than selling what I do, which to me is a huge transition because I've worked with nonprofits. I've gone door to door and such for like environmental nonprofits. I actually, so a little bit of a story about that. When I was doing that initially, I was top 10 in the nation at going door to door and raising money. But the next year I actually quit because I did not believe in the mission that the campaign that the nonprofit was working on, and I couldn't keep going door to door and asking people for money for it. So that's a huge thing about how I operate in terms of I can't sell something that I don't believe in, and I feel like this is more of an opportunity to just share what I believe in rather than something that I have to sell somebody on in order to survive and in order to get income.
So the main theme of everyone here, including myself, is that what we have our hands on is something that will, with our help and our action, shift how we help people, how nonprofits get funded, and how we can talk to people from a place of what we're doing versus what we do. Like you just said, Bryson, instead of me trying to sell people out on what I do, like I can get back to my roots and actually be serving people. So we can put together business plans and how many people, like when I used to do expired listing coaching, I would say, well, if you want to make $100,000 this year and your average commission is $5,000, then you need at least 20 closings, but you really need 25 listings, because not all of them are going to close. And if you need a listing and you need to go on 3 appointments to take a listing, then you need 150 appointments. Like we could go through all those numbers, but I want to be a little more personal with this and just do some role play and talk about who we can invite, what are we inviting them to? Like, Andy, what do you think is the best way for your customers, clients, potential clients, high net worth people that you're wanting to do business with? What do you think is the best way for them to see this? Do you think that they need to come to the live Wednesday 101? Do you feel like you need to share a recording with them? This is all about your mindset, guys, because there's nothing right or wrong in any of this. But some people are like, oh, my people are so busy, there's no way they're going to sit in on a live class or whatever. What do you think is the best way for you to introduce people to this, Andy? You're muted.
I do think it's it's a great question, and the answer is organic. I mean, like you said, there's going to be some people who can take a half an hour, and come and sit, or an hour and jump online on a Zoom. There's going to be other people who, frankly, are going to just say, send me the information. There's a third component, people I want to actually sit with. Say, hey, let's sit together for 45 minutes and just watch this and have some questions. That's initially how I see leveraging something like this initially. Or leveraging my time anyway.
Got it. Well, some people want to put on a charitable 101 together that we co-brand and that we all, share a little bit of our story in the beginning, and it's all people that Some people just want to invite to the Wednesday at noon. Some people want to do what you're talking about. And some people say, well, I don't have time to sit down for 45 minutes with, 10 different people. I want them all in one spot. So what I'm learning and what I'm stepping into is, instead of trying to make it be what I would do, I want to help serve everyone and how it would serve you best. So Andy, having been watching the videos and been around us for the last month or so and sat in on all these classes, what would you like me to help you work on? Would you like to work on an email blast? Would you like to work on a script as far as how to talk to your warm clients? Like, what do you think would serve you best?
Well, I guess since there's so many options, I think initially, Cami, an email would be great. Warm email, warm text, something like that, just to an opening text or email, just to open up the conversation. Obviously, if it's a phone call, just a short script, till it's ingrained. So those are the 3 things, I think, just making at least just how to make the intro. And then the follow-up, I think, is going to be, hey, come to the meeting. And if you can't, we'll work something else out.
So with us being in, and I did a Facebook Live about this a couple of days ago, with us being in National List of Legacy Listing Month, if it was National Hug Your Puppy Day, and you knew people that had dogs, you might actually share, hey, today's National Hug a Puppy Day. I know you just got a puppy, celebrate, right? If it was National Eat a Cookie Day, we would reach out to the bakers we know. If it was Mother's Day, we'd reach out to the mothers we know. In other words, what I'm suggesting is that we leverage this. Now, you might say, well, yeah, Cami, but nobody knows about National List of Legacy Listing Month. That's right. And nobody knew about National Cookie Day until somebody started promoting it. And if we can promote Cookie Day, we can promote National List of Legacy Listing Day. And we don't have to promote it from the perspective of, I know you've never heard of this is brand new, but more from the perspective of, hey, it's National List of Legacy Listing Month. As a nonprofit that I love, I want to make sure that listing a legacy can start something beautiful for you. You can start getting funded the right way, a better way, an easier way, frankly. So whether we're talking to a nonprofit, another realtor, or financial advisor, or for the love of God, the donors themselves, friends, we all know somebody who would donate a piece of real estate if they just knew that it was an option. So let's talk, Andy, about how we can leverage National List of Legacy Listing Month just as a way to break the ice, to start the conversation. It's just kind of a fun topic to kind of step into the conversation. And then, like you said, the follow-up or the follow-through. That's why I asked, how do you think you want to introduce people to this? Because, guys, we don't want to just have a conversation to tell them about charitable gifting of real estate. There's got to be something that we're leading them to. There's
Right.
got to be a bow that we put on top of it, whether it's, look, I'm going to send you this link. There's a whole bunch of videos there for you to watch. Let's talk about it in a couple of days when you've had a chance to watch them. Or whether it's, there's once a month, there's this big master class and it's 3 hours, but you can also watch it in recording. There's got to be something to lead them to. So let's start with a specific person that you have in mind, Andy, that you want to reach out to. Let's say we're going to be sending them. Do you think an email or a text message leading to a phone call? What is it for you?
Yeah, text message. So one person in particular, just text message.
Okay.
I mean, I
So-
can also make a phone call, but normally they're very busy, so I'll get a response to a text message, especially if it's going to impact them favorably in what they're trying to do.
Sure. So what's a first name?
Rich.
Rich. And how do you know Rich? The 30-second dissertation.
Rich and I have just been friends for the last 11 years or so since I've lived in the neighborhood. Our kids play together, and we're friends.
And what's in it for him? So the second P, their purpose. Why would he care about this?
Right. So he actually runs a charity for animals. He works for an organization that raises money for they take care of animals, and he's always looking for donations.
Runs animal organ. So he runs it like that's his full-time job?
Yep. Correct. Yeah. Like
Wow.
a shelter.
Yeah. So look, so simple. So simple. So everybody be making your own notes and typing. I'm gonna send this out to the group too when we've written it. You want to do Rich a favor. You want to give him a little bit of information and ask him to get on the phone, perhaps.
Yep.
I just don't think it's as effective for us to say, hey, Rich, I got a way to fund your animals. Here's a link. Hope to see you there, kind of a thing. I think we need to have a little bit of a conversation with people.
Sure.
So I would send him a message and I would say, hey, Rich, you know how you're always looking for ways to support the animals, looking for donations? I have just come across a way that your nonprofit can get funded tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. And if you feel confident enough to say it, even millions of dollars, and I'd like to jump on the phone with you. Do you have time at 2 or at 5 today for 10 minutes? Or do you have time right now? Guys, we want to have a little bit of urgency. We don't want to say, if let me know if you can talk next week. And we want to let them know when we get on the phone, look, I got like 3 minutes. We want them to know we respect their time. We're not getting ready to be on the phone for 30 minutes. Let them know, hey, Rich, when do you, even at the beginning of it, hey, Rich, when do you have 3 minutes to jump on the phone today? I found a way to fund your nonprofit tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. When do you have 3 minutes? Leave it at that, because that's going to give him the urgency to jump on the phone. How does that sound to you?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. So then when you get on the phone, you want to keep it simple. Guys, keep it down to what brought you in this to begin with. Let him know. Just quick about your story. Rich, I don't know if you know, but my mother died of ovarian cancer, and our family has a scholarship in her honor. We do a lot of philanthropic work. And because of that, when I learned that there was this niche, this real estate niche that funds nonprofits, I sat in on a class. And as I think about all the nonprofits that I know and love that deserve to hear about this, yours came to mind. And now is, that call to action. There's this 25-minute overview on Wednesday. I'd love to send you a link, or there's a recording of it. In other words, have your own direction that you want to go. So would you want Rich to sit in live? Would you want to go meet with him at his house? How do you want him to see this?
Well, look, I always think in person is the best way to do it. If they have time, then I would want to do it that way.
Okay.
But if not, I think the live interaction is then best. I mean, obviously you're the expert at this point, until we all become our own experts. But so I guess in order it would be hearing it from you, but while he and I are together personally, and then of course, recorded if not, and still I would probably like to watch it with him if possible.
So we send him a text. Hey, Rich, when do you have 3 minutes? I need to jump on the phone with you. This is super important. It has to do with your nonprofit and getting funded. Short, right? You
Yep.
jump on the phone. Hey, bro, I don't know if you know, but our family is very philanthropic. My mother dying of of ovarian cancer has me really, heart-centered and wanting to help those in need. I don't know if you knew that about me, but because of that, as a real estate agent, when I learned that there was a way that my industry could actually help the nonprofits I love, I sat in on a class. And whether you want to come to this live thing that happens on Wednesday at noon, or whether we want to sit down and have a cup of coffee, you deserve to hear about this. Guys, there's some language in here. You deserve to hear about it. Or you are the first person I thought of. Let's make these people feel special, because they are special. They're special to you. They're not a sales call. They're not a lead. They're not someone that we're going to convince to do something that's weird or icky. We are wanting to share with them the same thing that was shared with you that got you excited enough to be on here with me on a Tuesday, right? You're here because you know that this is a great thing for you, for Rich, for your community. So just keep it really simple. And when he starts asking any questions, look, I've sat in on a class or two. This is so important for you, Rich. This is so important. Please don't have me ruin it by trying to explain this to you. There's a simple video we can watch together. If you want me to send it to you right now, you can watch it and then we can talk about it, whatever works for you. Like, really just emphasize how important it is for that person, because it is. I don't even know Rich, but I've watched tens of thousands of videos about animals, and there are some horrendous people out there doing horrible things to animals. I want to see his nonprofit get funded.
Yep, I know you do. Yeah, it's a terrible thing. He loves it. It's very near and dear to his heart. So, I love what you're saying here. This verbiage is awesome.
Okay. Do you want to role play?
Sure.
So I'll be calling you first. You're just,
okay.
You're Andy, you're my friend who runs a nonprofit for animals, right? And I sent you that message that I want to get on the phone. So we're just on the phone. Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hey, Andy, Cami Baker here. You still got that 3 minutes we talked about in text?
Hey, Cami. Yeah, how you doing? Sure, I always have time for you.
Listen, I'm doing fabulous, friend. And the reason that I wanted to get on the phone, I want you to hear in my voice how important this is for me and for you. As I mentioned in the text, there's a way your nonprofit can get funded. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars is happening all over the country. I'm in real estate. It has to do with real estate. But I need you to watch a video with me so that you understand how your animals can benefit from proceeds of real estate. We can sit down together and watch a video. I can send it over to you, but I care so much about you. I thought of you. I couldn't even let another day go by without getting this information in front of you. Do you have time today at 4, maybe when our kids are out of school, I can come over?
Sure. Yeah, that'd be fine. Maybe you'll have dinner with us.
Yep. Go ahead and ask me a question or something.
Yeah. So what, I mean, what is it? I mean, you're trying to sell my house. So I'm not selling my house.
No, no. Look, there are people all over the country that would donate real estate to help your nonprofit. And other than that, I really need you to watch this video because this is so important. I don't want to confuse you. And I just want to help you and the animals. So I'll come over today at 4. We'll sit down and watch a 20-minute video, and then we'll be able to speak a little more intelligently about it. Sound good?
Yeah, that sounds great. As long as you don't try to sell my house during dinner, you got a deal.
Bro, I'm wanting to help to fund your nonprofit with other people's real estate. This ain't got nothing to do with your house.
Yeah, that sounds awesome, Cami. I'd love to hear it. Be great to see you.
I was looking away because when we're on the phone, we don't have the benefit of body
Yeah,
language.
yeah.
So it's just an example.
Oh, bring
Just an
beer.
example, right? So role play back with me.
Yep. Ring.
Hello,
Hey, Cami, Andy Weintraub, how are you?
Andy. I'm great, thank you. Your text sounds like you got something exciting going on. What's up, bro?
Yeah. Well, I know you're really busy, and I appreciate you taking my call. I mean, we've known each other a little while. I don't know if you know this, but my mom died in '03 and from ovarian cancer, and my family is very philanthropic, and like you are, and I know you work with your animals. You care nearly and dearly about those animals, and that's why you made the move to the shelter. And that's really big. And so I was really, really excited when I learned that there was a way in my industry through real estate that I can help nonprofits. And I was thinking about, of course, my family. And I sat in on this class and I realized that I can help a lot more people, including my friends, people like you. So I'm not sure if you want to grab a cup of coffee or a beer or just, I come to a meeting with me, but I'd love to have you learn more about this because there's a way that your company can get funded tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars and more through real estate. And I just need you to see with me how we can do this, benefit your animals through the charitable selling of real estate. So you have some time at tonight to grab a beer?
Well, if it benefits my animals, of course I want to hear about it. Is there anything you can send over to my light just fell. Is there anything that you can send over to me that I can check out?
Sure. I have I think I have a brief video, if I can find it, that I can send out to you, give you just a quick look, or we can watch it together. You know what? Okay, not sure what to say here, but I can watch it with you, or I can send it to you just in advance. Then I can combine and take a look.
Yeah, I just threw that in there because I know you were expecting to get a question. And guys, you can send a video over if you want. It depends on your relationship with this person. Is it a strong enough relationship for you to say, well, I can send a video, but I'd rather just bring it with me. I want to get your response to it right in the moment. Like I want to be sitting with you when you watch it. Either way, it's up to you, however you guys want to do it.
Okay. So, yeah.
The point is, don't make it weird and icky. If you and your wife went to a nice restaurant and had a great meal, you'd give him a call and say, my God, friend, you got to go to this restaurant. It was unbelievable. The steaks are huge. The prices are great. Like we're promoting stuff to people all the time. So let's just not make this any different. This is just something. And like if you learned about some kind of fundraising software, like if we all learned about a way that if we put their nonprofit on Amazon, that they could bring in an extra $1,000 a month from pennies from sales, we would tell people about that. So that's what we're doing here. We're just telling them about something that gives them another option to bring in money. So how does that feel to you?
Yeah, it makes sense. More like hey, Rich, I learned about this way where we can use real estate to fund our nonprofits. I have my mom's thing and the Valerie Fund. You have the animal shelter. and it's awesome. We can use other people's real estate to fund our nonprofits, and it benefits them too. Everybody wins. And so, I would love to sit and talk with you for a few minutes to show you this thing. And, if it makes sense to you, I can help you get started in benefiting your shelter using real estate. Does that sound incredible?
Beautiful. Beautiful. Just talking from your heart.
Yeah,
Just keep it simple.
cool. Yeah, that's easy.
And if you have if you create a little message like that, like in my phone, in my notes, I've got several variations of messages. One that's kind of real estate agent focused, one that's kind of
Right.
financial advisor focused, one that's nonprofit focused. So having said that, who do you know? Do you know anybody, Andy, that is in financial services, financial planners?
Yep. I do. That was Kevin that I brought to the meeting on Wednesday.
Yeah. Yep. So how did you get him to the meeting? What did you say to him?
I called him and I basically shared something like that, but I said, look, I know that you work with a lot of high net worth people, and wondering if they're how you advise them on if they have different assets. I don't know if you knew this, but you can fund nonprofits through real estate, the selling of real estate, and avoid the 1091. Was it the
Capital gains?
the capital
Or-
gains tax? Yeah,
Or doing the 1031 tax exchange?
1031. Yeah, thank you. So wanted to see if you wanted to come and check out some info with me on that. He's like, sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was very excited too, by the way, because I've gone to him with a lot of things in my life, and he said, "Hey, you finally have something that makes sense."
Yeah. Good.
So,
So the next
yeah.
step for him would be to come to the master class to really sink his teeth into it. Good. Barbara,
Yes.
give me the name of someone that you are wanting to talk to about this.
Well, right now I have 3 EXP agents, and they didn't hear about it through EXP. I posted something on the commercial website, and 2 of the commercial agents are interested. So I gave them an invite for Wednesday. I think one can come, one cannot. And then the other one was part of the team in my organization that was referred. So just organically through sharing through social media and through a group of ours in workplace, or not in workplace, our team who has our own group environment, and through my commercial website, I have people reaching out to me wanting to know more about it. So right now I do have some agents that that I didn't know until this week that are interested.
Now, what is
So-
it about that turns you on? What makes you want to reach out to other EXP agents to tell them about this?
It was more of an announcement. So I did it through my social media. I did it through the commercial real estate. I did it through LinkedIn. I kind of did test market it through Instagram, the different resources, just to see what kind of response I would get. So I did get some likes in LinkedIn, but surprisingly, it was my commercial group. The women, I should say, the women in my commercial group got excited and started messaging me. So it was a matter of just out of curiosity, seeing who would respond and what I needed to change and so forth. And that's how it took off. Of course, I do want to connect with my church now. That's my next step, is to connect with my church and some vet groups that I'm working with that are clients. And again, another organization that I'm, like I said, I have a list. I have my list and so forth, my spreadsheet that I'm working on, and it's very diversified. So that's what I need to fine tune. And the other question that I have as well is, once they are interested, and not the agents, but if there's a nonprofit interested, where am I sending them? What direction do I take them next? So 2 parts.
Now, when you say once they're interested, because you piqued their interest or because they came to an event?
Because they came to an event.
If they've come to an event and they want to do more, you can get them on a 3-way with me to discuss that. Ultimately, guys, one of the nonprofits that we're working with is Josiah. It's a Quaker Foundation, Josiah Quaker Foundation, and this nonprofit actually helps nonprofits with 5 employees or less to grow and to market and et cetera, et cetera. So their mission as a nonprofit is to help faith-based nonprofits to get out and be seen and be heard. And they are super excited with what we're doing. I just did a presentation to their board, et cetera, et cetera. So they're going to be the first nonprofit that actually shows up on the map. So eventually we want these nonprofits to understand why they would want to be on the map, why they would want to be charitable real estate specialists and charitable real estate champions if they so choose. Because as you can see, talking to nonprofits about this, they've got their own mindset. There's a whole process for them. There's a lot of red tape, and you talk to one person, then they want to talk to the board, and then the board wants to talk about it. Like there's months sometimes in the planning for these nonprofits. So for us to start having nonprofits who've been through the whole process, who just get it, okay, charitable gifting of real estate. We never heard of it, but we want to benefit from it. We've been to the class. We understand position, partner, promote. For those nonprofits to start showing up on the map, so all of you can say, oh, look, here's a veteran group who gets it. I can just start promoting with them in my group, or here's a church that does. That's going to start being important. But if they've at least watched a video, if they've come to the 101, if they've been to the master class, in other words, if they get the basic concept of it, then you and I can get on a phone call or a Zoom with them and ask them, what do they want to do next? Because that's always the question. Okay, now that we understand it, what do we do now? But we kind of put the ball back in their court. What do they want to do? Because some nonprofits want to just talk to their 3 biggest donors. Some nonprofits want to do a full-blown social media marketing campaign. Most of them are very cautious. They are afraid we want their donor list. So it's important that they know we don't want their donor list. We can be as involved in this as they want us to be, or we can just be waiting in the sidelines until they bring us a donor with a piece of real estate. But ultimately, just introduce them to me and let's have a conversation with them.
So if they have a donor, then how does that transition? Does that go to the specialist nonprofit next, and then it comes back to full circle to us?
Yes. So let me walk you through that. And this is a question, people get a few steps ahead. What do we do when there's a donor at the table? I would go so far as to take 10 steps back and say, what do we need to do to get a donor to the table? But the reason that they're not bringing donors to the table is because they're worried about what is going to happen when the donor comes to the table. So when there is someone who says, hey, I got a piece of real estate, I want to see if it's a good donation. Great. We give them therock.com/property evaluation. When they go there, there's an online evaluation form. It takes all of 2 minutes to fill it out. When they fill that out, then, and friends, here's why you want the donor to go to that form, because now we have a paper trail of where they came from. We know that Bob came from Barbara's nonprofit because it says who sent you, who referred you, who's your contact, like how did you get here? So it helps us to keep a paper trail as dozens and hundreds start coming to the table. So they fill out that form. We put them in touch with a specialized nonprofit. Barbara can be on that call. The fundraiser from the nonprofit that found them, like you can have 4, 5, 10, 20 people on that call if you want, or it can just be the specialized nonprofit and the donor. If the donor wants to talk about their personal stuff without you and the nonprofit knowing all their business. But when the specialized nonprofit looks at that property, they can tell in about 10 minutes if this is going to be a good deal, assuming everyone's telling the truth about what they owe and about the condition and things like that. I mean, ultimately, we all have to walk in the door to see what the property looks like, but they can tell, yeah, this is a good donation. There's plenty of equity to be had. This person's got good intention. When that happens, the specialized nonprofit creates 2 net sheets. One that if they were to sell it, pay Uncle Sam 30% capital gains tax, blah, blah, blah. The other, if they were to donate and get the cash that they want or have their mortgage paid off or whatever needs to happen. When they get these two net sheets, then they make a decision as to whether or not this is a good idea for them or not. And when they do, assuming that they do, then Specialized Nonprofit signs a donation agreement that says when this property is donated, we want 50% to go to Barbara's church, and we want 40% to go to the animals and 10% to go here. And then they are off the deed, their mortgage is paid off, they get their cash that they want, whatever that looks like within a 30-day period. Really, it's shorter, it's more like 2 weeks. I just say 30 days to give us something to go by. When the donor is off the deed and Realty Gift Fund has the rights to do something with that property, then they list it with you or with another agent in that town. And when it gets sold, the nonprofit gets the proceeds. Now, if it's in an area that you're not in, the beauty for those of you who are EXP and wanting to build a team is that you can be a part of the process to help find that realtor. So what if the property's in Miami? What a great opportunity for you to reach out and say, hey, you could call 10 or 20 or 50, depends on you. You could call one and be done with it, or you could use it as a recruiting tool. Like you could meet 10 people. Hey, we got this property. It's going to be a full commission. Proceeds are going to go to help my church. By the way, have you ever heard of charitable gifting of real estate? In other words, I would like to see that the realtors that are being hired to list these properties all be people who are excited enough about what we're doing, they become a specialist or a champion. They don't have to, but why wouldn't, if you're going to call 10 agents in Miami, why wouldn't you want to help choose the one who's excited about what we're doing and wants to co-brand with you and wants to put together social media campaigns with you? Because this property in Miami is going to help your church, and they're all about helping to promote. So that's what it looks like. It is 10 minutes after 12. Let's take a 5-minute potty break, coffee break, and then we'll come back. Bryson, I want to talk with you a little bit, and we'll see how we want to move the workshop forward. We can do some role play. We can just type out some emails together. We'll work on that when we get back. So it is 11 after 12. Let's come back at 12:16. Hey guys, I'm popping back on. I'm just gonna share my screen and hop over here. I'm just starting an email, just writing one off the cuff. Just want to start writing it and share with you what the mindset is. So this is an email that I could send to everyone. Let's try to come up with a simple email that we can send to everyone. So it is National List a Legacy Listing Month, and you deserve to list a legacy. What does that mean? Charitable gifting of real estate. It's charitable gifts of real estate are, this is for a nonprofit, are funding nonprofits like yours all over the country. As Florida's only certified charitable real estate specialist, it would be my honor to help your nonprofit receive a check for $550,000. Why that amount? Because that is the average donation from one gift of real estate. Smiley face. I have availability on my schedule Thursday at 4 p.m. or Friday at noon. Which works for you to jump on the phone and discuss a collaboration. I'm just writing one off the cuff just to talk about it. So, for example, Sam was on just a few minutes ago and he popped off. He was only on for a couple of minutes. I don't know if he's coming back or not, but he sent me an email that he had written to a nonprofit. But in his email, it said, I am a real agent of change, and we do charitable gifting of real estate. I'd love to chat with you about it, something like that. And I had shared with him that while we love that he's proud to be a real agent of change and that he's mentioning charitable gifts of real estate, there's got to be something in the message that has them want to talk to him. So I said, if you are going to mention gifts of real estate, then talk about what's in it for them, tell them, and based on this information, your nonprofit could gain an average of $550,000 from an average gift of real estate. Let's talk about it. So let's get some input on this. Bryson, I see that you are on with us right now. If you could unmute yourself, let's talk about what some of these emails, what they would need to have in them. Who are you wanting to talk to right now?
So various people, as far as specifically, well, first off, there's quite a few nonprofits that I've been a part of that I've some of them, as far as the ones that are more local based, are easy to reach out to as far as talking to. In contrast, the ones that are larger scale are a little bit more complicated, as we have talked about before. I also come from, I mean, I'm a pretty recent college graduate, so I know quite a few activists who have also spent quite a bit of time in nonprofits and actually risen pretty high in nonprofits. So one in particular person that I'm thinking about, I mean, he lives activism. And so I feel like, and he also became a director of a nonprofit in DC. So he has quite a few connections to various nonprofits that can benefit a lot from this. And I know that he's somebody that wants to change the world.
And he's a good friend of yours?
Yeah. Yeah. Like
First
somebody
name?
like John. Essentially, he's somebody that I would literally just spend, I have spent in the past 8 hours talking to him on the phone. Like just talking to him.
So such an easy conversation, you know? Hey, John, you're wanting to change the world. So am I. I have stumbled upon a way that nonprofits all over the country are getting funded. I didn't even know it was happening, but it's been going on for 100 years. As a matter of fact, he's so involved, you could go so far as to say, have you ever even heard of how nonprofits can 6 times their revenue, 6 times their donations, 6 times their endowment from gifts of real estate?
Yeah.
Well, it's true. And I want to share some information with you. Whether you, once again, whether you want to invite them to the live event, send them a link, sit down and watch it with them. If you can spend that much time with him on the phone, I would just invite him to come sit in live, because if he can spend 8 hours with you, he can spend an hour with us.
So yeah, no, definitely. And honestly, I don't know why I didn't. I literally have a list of 300 people that I'm working to get this to. I've narrowed it down to 150, and somehow I didn't think of him. But during this conversation, I thought of him, and so yeah, that's going to be a really easy conversation when I have it, and I think that will be quite fruitful in front of, as far as getting in front of nonprofits in a very trustworthy manner, because people love him. So.
You know, guys, that's why we get together, because we never really know exactly what we're going to talk about or who's going to be inspired or what you're going to think of. But the fact that you thought of him while we're on here is reason why we come on together. And if you have a list of 300 people and you've whittled it down to 150, look, I don't expect you to call all 300 people, because that's a full-time job, but let all 300 of them know, you know? Even if you make one message that you send out to all of them. And now that you've said that, Bryson, one of the things that I did pull up in preparation for this call is the memory jogger list. And, you know, it seems cliche or old fashioned or network marketing-ish, but it's so true to look through the memory jogger list and think of at least one person from each category that you wouldn't have thought of if we hadn't have been on here together, or if you hadn't have gone to the memory jogger list. You know, so if every one of you thought of, like, number one, altruistic donors, meaning, you know, this guy John, you know, I don't know if he's more of an activist than a donor, but we all know people who have given to, you know, bought a $50 raffle ticket because they are a veteran and they love veterans. They're altruistic. They do it because it's the right thing to do. We all know numbers focused donors, people who donate because either they, you know, want a tax write-off, or because they want to be acknowledged, or, you know, anything other than altruistic. We all know people who are volunteers and do volunteering. You know, the story about Linda is a really powerful one, because Denise just posted in our group yesterday, and I reiterated on it today, about how volunteers are having a hard time even getting to the nonprofits because the price of gas has gone up so much that some of the volunteers can't even afford to get to the soup kitchen. But guess what? Some of those volunteers also, who are cash poor, have a piece of real estate like Linda did. in the story. You know, she had that cabin in the Poconos. So to go through this list and to not think of it as, oh, this is just another one of those memory joggers, but to really think about it. And even for us, when it comes to the realtors, you know, think about every state. If you even went down through a list of all the states alphabetically in this country, Alabama, Arkansas, you know, Georgia, California, Nevada, and just think about who is a realtor that I know from that area. Because, you know, you guys are all going to get a finder's fee, a referral fee, if somebody comes in through your affiliate link and they become a champion. Nothing wrong with getting a $400 or $500 referral fee for that. At least pay for your championship while other people are coming in. But on a bigger scale, these are people that you can do referrals with and that you could invite to be on your team at another time. You know, the financial advisors, right now, when people are new into the program, it's more about warm market, warm market, warm market. But there's going to come a point where, you know, you could actually do some kind of a blast promotion to 100 financial advisors in your marketplace. And you could actually hold a charitable real estate 101, either with my help or with each other's help, or do it yourself, inviting financial advisors to come and learn about this. Because now, instead of having just one financial advisor that's your guy or gal that you send all your clients to, this is more about the mindset of, wow, if 65% of these donations come from financial advisors, how can I partner with 10 or 20 or 50 or 100 of them so that they know that this is an option for them? So this memory jogger list is really important to start getting those thoughts. Who do you know that recycles? You know, we all know somebody that's constantly harping on straws. As a matter of fact, I now have a metal straw because I hear people talking about the straws so much. So who do we know in these avenues that we can put on our list? So who else is somebody, Bryce? I mean, John's pretty much, and isn't that interesting? Somebody that you could spend 8 hours with on the phone and they weren't even at the top of your list.
Yeah, no, that's it shocked me. I'm surprised that I didn't look like I was very shocked when I thought about it today, because I was just like, wow, how did I not think of that? But yeah, I mean, just in our conversations, I was just thinking about how many people I really do know that kind of fit that mold of activism that may still be involved in that. And I mean, I haven't connected with them in a long time, but this is also an opportunity to reconnect with them and use it to not only reconnect with them in terms of doing something good for the world, but also in terms of just reconnecting with them at a human level too. Because I mean, we all have people that I mean, we're all adults, busy adults with lives, and it's hard to keep in contact with people. And honestly, we get the opportunity to as in this job, and we benefit from it, which is really cool.
Amen. Amen. I say that all the time. What a great way to reconnect with people. What a great way to rekindle friendships and to get business in general. So who's somebody that you and I can create a message for, an email for, a script for, that's not quite as easy? John's a no-brainer. You just call him up and say, listen, I need you to watch this video. I need you to come on Wednesday. I need you, as the friend of mine who is the most active in the whole world, to help me spread the word about this, because between you and I, we can bring in hundreds of millions of dollars for nonprofits if you just sit in on this presentation on Wednesday. You can say that to him. Who else would give you a little more, like, be on your chicken list, as we would call it?
Gotcha. So I got two that I'm kind of thinking of. So I've worked for quite a few nonprofits, and at one point, so when I graduated college, I was working 3 jobs, and because my mom was really sick and my dad was in the process of suing her, so I was trying to help out, and I was working for this nonprofit full time, and all of a sudden, I got a job that I didn't apply for. That was like, hey, we're essentially, I thought it was a joke at first because I was like just so confused because I didn't apply for the job, and essentially they were willing to pay me 7 times what those 3 jobs were. And so I felt really bad about this, but the nonprofit knew my situation too. So they were like, man, you got to do that for your family. But I've always kind of felt bad about it, that I kind of left them in the middle of their season. So that's one that I feel like is a little bit tougher for me.
So in other words, it's the person who runs the nonprofit that you left to go take this higher income job.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
the first name of the person?
It would either be Molly or Joe.
So just to spin on it. Hey, Molly, how long ago was this? Months ago, years ago?
This was in 2019.
2019. Hey, Molly, you know, it's been heavy on my heart. And I'm just using words. You pick your own words. It's been heavy on my heart how, you know, I was doing work with you guys and left in 2019. But I feel like I've got a way to kind of rectify my leaving. I know, having worked with you, how important the mission is at that nonprofit, whether it's animals, kids, veterans, you touch on that. And the fact is, I got a way to make it up to you. I found a way that you guys can get funded. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars. And I'd really like to make it up to you that I left by having you sit in on this meeting or watch this video or sit with me while I explain it. Like, there are ways, guys, that you guys can explain it too. And I'm going to pull up the roadmap in a minute and show you how easy it is to explain this to people. If there are people, like, for example, Andy, when you're sitting with Rich, we'll go through the roadmap and show you how easy that would be. So Bryson, that was the first thing I thought was, wow, what a great way for you to make it up to them or to rectify the situation.
True, no, and it honestly really is. It's just like you said, it's definitely, as you can see from the situation and the emotion behind it, it's just something that I do have a heavy heart about, and I feel bad about. But
and what a great way to reach out to her and make that apology. Say, you know what, Molly, and here's the thing: if you call and you get Molly on the phone and you say to Molly, you know, it's been a couple of years and I just really wanted to call and apologize to you for how that whole thing went down. What do you think she's going to say to you?
I mean, something along the lines of don't worry about it, man. Like, we know where you were at and we know how much you were struggling.
Exactly. Now, it would be awkward, or you would have done it already, to just reach out and apologize, catch up and hang up. But if you were to be able to apologize and have her say what any one of us would say, don't worry about it, bro, shit happens, no worries, I never thought about it a second time. Once that happens, then you could say, well, the good news is I found a way to make it up to you.
True, 100%.
Good. Does that help?
Yeah, no, it really does. And another touchy one too, I don't know how this, so are scholarship funds inherently nonprofits?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. It could be a rich person who's just writing a $20,000 check to send a kid to college. It doesn't have to be a nonprofit.
Because so this is another very touchy subject too. One of my best friend's brothers, he was 28 and he just died. And his parents immediately set up a scholarship fund at CU Boulder. And I didn't know if there was maybe a way that I could help with them in that situation.
To help fund their scholarship?
Yeah.
I probably have to know a little bit more about it. But for example, if it was, how did this person pass away?
They had cancer. Initially, it was in their throat and they couldn't remove it all. And then it metastasized to their lung and brain.
So what you could do is you could talk to, so this is another great way to reach out to 100 nonprofits that are cancer related. Hey, listen, I've got this family friend who passed away from cancer. The family is creating a scholarship in his honor. If I could help your nonprofit to get funded by hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, would you be willing to hold 50,000 a year in a scholarship in this person's name.
That's perfect.
What a great way to reach out to them, to those types of nonprofits.
Sure.
And same thing for you, Andy. You know, you've got this scholarship in your mom's name. I don't know if that is how that's held and everything, but you, my friend, could reach out to cancer organizations and let them know, my mother passed away from ovarian cancer. We have a scholarship in her name. If I were to show you how this charitable gifting of real estate thing works and your nonprofit were to get funded in the millions of dollars, would you put 1% of it towards our scholarship? It's just another way to get your foot in the door with them, but it also could fund dozens, hundreds of scholarships in your name. So yeah, always a way to spin it. Barbara, I see you've hopped back on. Did you have a question or something? Or are you just being friendly?
Well, I was listening, but I was eating lunch, so that's why
Yeah.
my camera wasn't on, but I was listening. A quick question. I just took a TikTok course trying to learn more social media. If we did something with charity real estate, this is what charity real estate is. This is what charity real estate isn't. Like if you would put like your top 3 and then your bottom 3 just to do a blurb. Just to think about what maybe that list might be, if that makes sense.
So are you talking about for you to do it, for me to do it, for us all to do it?
Anybody. I'm
Well,
learning. So, I mean, I would do it, but at the same time, how they do it's very simple. They're what, less than a minute. And it's just like, this is what charity real estate is. This is what charity real estate is not. So I don't know if there's verbiage that would even work with. It was just off the top of my head.
Great. So all of us can do this. So if you want to write down 3 things that charitable gifting of real estate is and 3 things that it's not, any one of you can do these videos. I mean, I've paid to be a part of Shay Rowbottom's program. It's boot camp for videos on LinkedIn specifically, because I really want to shift to LinkedIn because that's where all the professionals are. And she has a really good point, by the way, about social media. If you think about the difference between LinkedIn and Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, God knows, Snapchat, like there's all of them. But just as an example, Facebook is the backyard barbecue of social media. LinkedIn is the business networking event of social media. So when people come to Facebook, it's like they're at a backyard barbecue. They'll talk about anything, everything, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, maybe a little bit of business. They'll laugh at their dog. They'll talk about their kids. It's the barbecue. At LinkedIn, people come to that expecting to do business, looking to learn about business, to grow their business. And when you think about any one of us, if you went to a business networking event today and a backyard barbecue on Saturday, you're much more likely to make friends at the business networking event than to do business at the backyard barbecue. In other words, I'm focusing on LinkedIn because I want to be there for people who are wanting to know how to enhance their business. But when it comes to TikTok and just all these different ideas, here's 3 things that charitable gifting of real estate is. Actually, I'm going to ask you guys first. Bryson, what do you think charitable gifting of real estate is? Just as a one-liner, easy concept.
A better way to fund nonprofits.
I would go so far, and I am going so far,
Be
and I
best.
have gone so far, is to say it is the best way to fund. It is a better way to fund nonprofits than any fundraiser or grant writing, period. Challenge me on that. You can't. People who don't understand it can challenge, but in the challenging, they would learn that it's the truth. So that's a great one right there. Barbara, what's another one that you would say charitable gifting of real estate is?
It's for everyone. It's literally for every nonprofit.
Love it. Andy, are you still with us? Okay, so it is for everyone. It is the best form of funding. Okay, and I'll throw one in. Charitable gifting of real estate is easy and risk-free when you know how the real agents of change do it. So it's easy and risk-free. Friends, this is gold. Every one of us, including myself, can go on TikTok, Instagram, and just say, hey, you know what? For the next 3 days, I'm going to tell you every day one more tip about what charitable real estate is. And this gives you a reason to do it, and something where you're not like, what am I going to talk about? And you can keep it quick, because let's face it, people have a short attention span. Okay, so what are 3 things that it's not? Bryson?
It is not a, well, I feel like I was going to go down the route of it's not a huge risk, or it's not a risk. It's not a risk.
It's
It's a
not.
benefit.
It's
Yeah.
not a risk.
But that kind of, I don't know, it's kind of the same as the opposite of what you had said, kind of a thing. That's my one qualm with what I just said.
However, and you're right, however, people need to hear the same thing in more than one way, don't they?
True.
And you know, look, a lot of the things I'm learning in Shay's program are things that I already know, but it's good to hear somebody else say it, to remind me, to reiterate it. And she talks about how people are way more attracted to negative than they are positive. I try to keep everything upbeat and positive and how great it is, and you can earn full commission and da 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 da. But people are 3 times more likely to stop on a video that has a closed caption, the difference between how I made $1 million versus how I lost $1 million. You know, how I succeeded in real estate, how I failed miserably as a realtor. People just, so you need to say it a whole bunch of different ways. So I'm going to give you that one. What about you, Barbara? What is something that it is not?
What would be a good verbiage to say? It's not your cash assets, I mean, it's not liquid assets. They're, cash versus your other assets.
What it's
Wealth
not,
bucket versus cash. Is that kind of how you had phrased it before in like the training?
right? Wealth bucket versus cash asset, cash reserve, cash pocket. In this instance of what it's not, let's think about when people, okay, so I'm thinking about what people think it is. It's a misconception. It's not only real estate that the nonprofit wants to manage and move into. It's not real estate for you to manage and move into. It's real estate to be liquidated. It's not real estate that has to be in your own backyard. It's real estate that can be from anywhere. It's not giving from your cash pocket. I'm trying to think of a different word.
Yeah, I was kind of stuck on the verbiage
Right.
to simplify it because it's hard to,
Charitable gifting of real estate is not limiting yourself to the cash in your pocket.
there you go.
Is not limiting your legacy. to the cash in your pocket.
And that's a really good way to phrase it too, because it's not limiting your legacy to the cash in your pocket, because a lot of the people that we talk to too, like for example, the volunteers, yeah, maybe they don't have real estate, but like they like to do good. And just by sharing that information that they learn, or sharing that link again to a third party, I mean, that can enhance their legacy beyond the cash in their pocket, because they let somebody know that now, and then all of a sudden the charity that they really care about gets a huge donation and they're part of it.
So charitable gifting of real estate is not so I think if I'm hearing you right, Bryson, charitable gifting of real estate is not limited to people who own real estate. In other words, you may not own real estate, but if you know about charitable gifting of real estate and the people that you know own real estate and you're talking about it, your legacy could have just been increased by millions of dollars because you let somebody else know. It's a little bit of a stretch, but it's true. And it gives us a different way to look at it. Another thing that it's not, charitable gifting of real estate is not a, how do I want to say this? It's not a discounted listing. Charitable gifting of real estate is not you as a realtor doing something at a discount or for free. Just because somebody's giving a property away doesn't mean you're giving your services away. Now that might be one that I want to share, but if Barbara's wanting to build her team, for example, she may want to share that. Hey, this is not about you as a realtor doing something for free, because let's face it, when realtors sit on the board of a nonprofit, if real estate were to come up, the nonprofit would ask them to do it for free, wouldn't they?
Mhm.
Hey, we're being given a piece of real estate. Do you think you could handle the transaction for us? Like, just handle it for us. And that's why I'm always saying full commission, full commission, full commission. I was going to call it the full commission formula in the beginning, because I want realtors to know I'm not asking you to do this for free. I don't want you to give us a donation or cut your commission. I want you to get paid. I love this. I love this train of thought. What else is something that charitable real estate is? Charitable gifting of real estate is a way for nonprofits to bring in 6 times what they normally do. To 6 times. Charitable gifting of real estate, another way that it's been put, is a way to bring in 6 times what you currently do without adding any new donors. That's important, because the nonprofits get really hung up on where do these donations come from. We don't know anybody with real estate. We don't know anybody that would donate real estate. So they need to know, how dare you make that assumption about people in your donation list?
Charitable gifting of real estate is also another way for financial advisors to increase their assets under management.
Bingo. Guys, these are all, like, you could send out a series of emails if you have an email list. If you know, so for example, Bryson, how do you normally communicate with your tribe?
So for me, I haven't really explained this, but I'm kind of in a unique situation where I actually work in Washington and Maine, but I'm living in Colorado. And so mostly for me, it's over the phone or via video chat, because those are that's the closest I can get to in person at this point.
Do you have an email list, or do you have yeah?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely have emails and text lists that I work with as well. It's just, for me, that's the best way for me to connect with somebody when it's like or the best way to mimic a face-to-face connection with phone calls or Zooms and such like that.
You know, I love this conversation. Barbara, thank you for bringing it up. I think when I'm doing my interviews with everyone moving forward, I think a couple of the questions I'm going to ask is, when this video is seen by your following, what do you want them to know charitable real estate is and what it is not? And I can tell you that a lot of people in the group want people to know that it is easy and it is not scary and complicated, which is the same thing but different.
And another thing that, like, another way that we can also phrase that in terms of like a video or something is like, charitable gifting of real estate is easy if you take the time to learn about it. If you're willing to take the time to learn about it, something like that.
If you're willing to take the time to learn about it, and you can learn about it through us. As a matter of fact, don't really know where else you are going to learn about it. I mean, people can Google themselves to death and research themselves to death, but I think we'd all agree if they just watch, if people watched 90 minutes worth of just the presentation part, not all the questions, but the first 25, 30 minutes of the 101 overview. And if they watched the FAQS, the videos on there, if they spent 90 minutes, they would know pretty much all they need to know about charitable gifting of real estate, really. I mean, you know, the nuances, the tax breaks, really all of that stuff depends on the person, the property, how much they paid for it. You know, like there's so many variations when it comes to the nuances of all of that. But really, you learn all you need to learn in about 90 minutes. That's why we say all the time at the Real Agents of Change, charitable gifting of real estate is really 10% of what we're doing here. The 90% of it is, how do you go talk to people about it? How do you implement it in your business? How do you leverage it as a business development element? How do you have the nonprofit not only bring it to their board, but bring it to their donors? In other words, there's a lot more strategy and brainstorming and collaboration than just the charitable gifting of real estate. That part's pretty simple. So having said that, thank you, Andy. Andy mentions in the comments that this is awesome. Please send the recording. And he's got his phone number over there and his email. I highly recommend that you guys start reaching out to one another, maybe doing some role plays around this, getting confident, talking with each other about it. What I want to do right now is I want to shift over and pull up the roadmap and show you guys how easy it is to actually have this roadmap with you or have it as a way to share. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about on this? Because this is great.
I do have to leave in 5 minutes to get to for a 1 o'clock Zoom meeting. So FYI,
Okay.
I will watch the recording though.
Okay, great. Just going to share my screen, and I'm actually going to go find the roadmap on my www.therock.com, Tammy Baker. So you guys all, because of the championship package, get your own page. Once you've gone through the videos in the Legacy Launchpad and filled out that questionnaire and you send over to Danielle, she can get this created for you. And down at the bottom, or however she creates it for you, this is one of the, so the roadmap, the way that I created it, and I'm kind of surprised to see this here because this isn't the one that I use, but these are the same 5 steps, but I'm gonna come in here and find the roadmap the other way. Hold on one second. Roadmap. Huh. Where is the stinking roadmap? La, la, la. Is it in here? Says that there is a link to it. Let me just see. We're creating a lot of these pages to go along with the book. It's not there. All right, well, I'm just going to use this one as an example. I like the roadmap the way that I originally created it because it shows a road, like a little winding road going from 1 to 2 to 3, etc. But when you're using this to explain it, get this thing customized with your image and your contact information, your company logo. If you know a specific charity that you're going to go talk to, then you can put the Boys and Girls Club or Wounded Warrior on the check, etc., so they can see themselves in the conversation. But this is about talking about, number one, donor donates real estate. This is not the conversation about how to find the donor, but back to the question Barbara asked earlier, what happens when the donor comes to the table? So number one, donor comes to the table. They donate because it's the right thing to do. 80% of them donate because they love their charity. 20% of them donate because it's a tax advantage. For whatever reason, the donor is donating the real estate. Number two, the donor is donating it to the specialized nonprofit, who is, in essence, the nonprofit for all nonprofits, meaning that when they take title of these properties, they will partner with and give the proceeds to any nonprofit that the donor wants to have it. The specialized nonprofit takes title, they assume all risk, they pay off mortgages, they take title. Number three, once the specialized nonprofit has the property, they list it with a charitable real estate specialist, with a real estate agent at a full commission, because ultimately this property needs to be liquidated so that, number four, once it's been listed and liquidated, number four, the charity gets the money granted to them. So the donor has decided what nonprofits is going to benefit. The real estate agent listed it. Now that it's liquidated, the checks are written to whether it's one nonprofit or 2 or 10 or put in a donor advised fund. That's number four. And then on our roadmap, we talk about number 5. The fact is, if we're doing cause marketing campaigns, leveraging our purpose in the marketplace, PR, media exposure, this is business development, we can make money making a difference, driving awareness. In other words, even though that nonprofit that got the check doesn't even need to know the state or the address of the property, that's how far removed they are from the risk, it would be really smart for them to position, partner, and promote with the real estate agent, with the financial advisor, with the title company. In other words, if all of us came together and let the world know when 123 Main Street in Detroit sells, Boys and Girls Club in California is going to get $500,000. Because if everybody that was part of that deal was promoting it at number 5, that they were all promoting it, then the fact is more donations of real estate would come in. The Boys and Girls Club of America, in this example, would be getting more exposure. The realtor would be getting exposure, etc. So this is just a simple way to explain what it looks like. Any questions about how to leverage the roadmap to keep it simple?
Yeah, I got one real quick. Just at what point in the process would you say that it's best to kind of present this to somebody? Would this only be like after a nonprofit has attended like a real estate 101 class kind of a thing? And are looking to try and figure out how to leverage this moving forward?
Great question, Bryson. So when I share this, I just want to show you guys how easy it is to just go through the simple process without getting too bogged down in it. I would prefer that they come to a 101 live. That's my number one way of introducing people. It's short enough, it's simple enough. They can get a question or two answered right there. And I can answer just about any question that they ask. So I'd much rather that they do that first before anything. And then this is something that you can go over with them afterwards. However, it's also something that you could keep with you. You could pull it up on your phone. You can send it to them and they're looking on their phone while you're looking on your phone and going through it together at a Panera's. You could print it out. And I have printed this myself many times. Usually it's the roadmap version of it for me because I just like that visual of going down the road. And I've handed it out to 8 or 10 board members sitting at a table together. Everybody's got one and I walk them through. This is how simple it is. So yeah, that's what I would use it for. What we don't want to do is just send this in an email and say, hey, take a look at this and let me know when you got questions, because it's just going to confuse them and we don't want to do that. So it is either a follow-up or it's your way of in the moment being able to say, bro, let me show you how easy this is.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Okay, well, it's 1 o'clock. Thank you for coming. Here's what I want to say. You can do this as fast or slow as you want to do it. For those of you who really want to have an impact in the world, and I know that's everyone present, and I'm hoping anyone who's watching this, the best way to do it is big and bold. It's you know, being fearless in your sharing of the information because you know it's the right thing to do. Like, being socially responsible isn't just the right thing to do. It's necessary in business. So let's not get hung up on any of our sales stuff that's going on in our head about convincing or how do I talk to people about this? How do I explain it? I want to say, get in your heart. What was it that made you excited about this? What do you think they are going to get from it? How do you think they're going to benefit? Because when you're thinking about the other person more than you're thinking about yourself, all that ickiness or scaredness or trepidation goes away because you know that you're doing it for them. Is there anything else I can help you with right now, Bryson?
Well, so I don't mean to take up too much of your time, but I know that, so in the spirit of going big, and obviously there's nobody else here at the moment, so I don't feel like we're going too much off a tangent, but so I'm very comfortable about, like I already